afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to Fire Your MD Now Radio. Mike Phillips filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. And I tell you what, it is good to be alive. It is what is known as Family Day up here in Canada. And from what I'm hearing, it's a whole lot nicer where I am than for those GCN boys in Minnesota. A lot of snow, Minnesota, hey? We get a lot of snow, but I'm guessing that Minnesota would be as close as far as the state goes to our province where I'm at here. So being that it's Family Day, I would like to take just a little bit of time and talk about my family, and I'm not just talking about my biological family. I'm talking about my longevity family as well. But first of all, I have two great parents. My mom and dad are, and everybody says it right, but quite honestly, when I think back to when I was a kid and the way I acted sometimes, it's really surprising that my parents didn't have me put to sleep, to be frank with you. I was not an easy guy to raise. And, I was just doing what I do at the time, but they put up with a lot from me, and they always stood by me, and they always tried to do what was right for me. And I just want to say thank you to my mom and dad on this Family Day. Now, I am a little bit kind of a manic sort of a person when it comes to longevity. I believe in it. It changed my life. I believe it saved my life. Let me say that again. Longevity saved my life. My quality of life was hell. I mean, it was terrible. My lungs burned. My things were going. It's like my brain was getting clouded over. When I heard this message about 90 essential minerals, vitamins, and amino and fatty acids, I listened for a while and then I jumped on it. And I tell you what, life has not been the same. Now, I target my family. Okay, I've signed up my mother, my sister, aunts, uncles. Just this morning, I had an opportunity to go over to my Uncle Tim and Aunt Jana's house, and they have got the best kids in the world, Ebony and Wyatt and Paulin, and just awesome kids. And it's funny because I signed them up. You know, that's how Mike Phillip rules, sign up before noon. And it's funny because my family knows to expect the unexpected when it comes to me. Right? Like, they know that I'm going to do something, but they're not sure what. Well, I had a conversation before I showed up, and they were telling me it went like this. Mike's going to try and sell us vitamins, and we're not going to do it. But I got over there, and I started talking about the benefits of medical nutrition, and I tell you, life could not be better. You want your women to be beautiful? You want your children free of cancer? You want to avoid sitting beside your son or daughter's hospital bed and talking to them and trying to tell them everything's going to be okay when you're not even sure of that yourself? How about getting them on the 90 essential vitamins, minerals, and amino and fatty acids and watch your family get beautiful and strong and disease-free? It's the greatest thing in the world. So that is my Family Day message to all my Canadian listeners. Now, I also have a longevity family, and that goes worldwide. I'm an insider with Dr. Glidden. For $20 a month, you can just go to Fire Your MD now and sign up to become an insider, and you will get a very in-depth education as to what we're doing and why we're doing it. And when you do that, it's going to fire you up. Okay, it's going to make you want to get this message out, because we all have somebody that we love who's in pain or sick, if it's not you yourself. And the time for waiting is over. This is a wave. It's reaching a crescendo. People are talking about medical nutrition. It's been years and years and years, and it kind of got buried in the background. But the time has come. No army can stop an idea whose time has come. Pen is mightier than the sword and all that. Now, Team Glidden, Camrose, Alberta, and Team Glidden, Alberta has got Dr. Joel Wallach coming to Central Alberta and Southern Alberta. March 27th at 7 o'clock p.m., West Edmonton Mall Gold Room, Dr. Joel Wallach. March 28th, 7 o'clock p.m., Sherwood Park Community Center. March 29th, 2 o'clock p.m., Camrose Regional Exhibition. That's the town I live in, and we're in the works with doing a TV interview with Dr. Wallach. I'm very excited to meet this revolutionary man. 30th and 31st, Calgary. We don't have the location and times for those yet, but it's coming up, believe it. Now, if you can hear me talking and you've got some health issue you want to discuss with me, I'm going to lay it on the line with you. I'm not a doctor, but I'm also not going to BS you. I'll tell you what I would do based on my experiences and based on the things that I've learned from listening to giants among men like Dr. Peter Glidden and Dr. Joel Wallach. I mean, these guys have got it together. And if I can't answer a question, I'm going to defer you to them. But call me up. Let's talk about victories that you've had in your family or in your personal life. Have you lost a bunch of weight because of longevity? Did you used to have to use a walker to get around town and you ditched that now? Did your hair go back to its natural color like I've seen with so many people? Call in because there's new sign-ups listening today, and they could really benefit from hearing from your stories. I'm talking about people like Alice in South Korea. You are a major source of inspiration, and this is not my show. This is your show today. When I'm on this show, it belongs to you. Call in, talk to me, get your story out. Now, if you want to call in, the line is 866-582-9933. That's 866-582-9933. If you want to get involved with longevity and you're too shy to talk on the radio, we got you covered here. TeamGlidden.ca can be reached at 1-800-705-6892. Get a pen? 1-800-705-6892. Now, this show, if you've never heard it before, we talk about medical myths. We talk about ways of restoring your health and the strength of your body yourself. We don't heal you. We don't cure you. All we do is provide you with the information whether or not you want to use the raw materials that your body needs to be strong and thrive. Myself, I have so much energy and I sleep so good that I find myself getting up at about 3 o'clock in the morning, much of the time. And I get so much done before the rest of the world is even cognizant. It's amazing. And I've been talking to so many people about longevity lately. I had a lady the other day that I signed up about a week ago, and she was telling me that she went to a doctor here in town and got a physical. Now, he did the physical, and she said the guy was pretty rude about it. And then, when it was all done, just kind of off the cuff, offhandedly, this guy turns and says, "Oh, by the way, you got breast cancer," and walks out of the room. Can you imagine that? Imagine that with your mom or your sister. That would really make me angry. So this poor woman, she goes home, and she's crying and thinking she's going to die. And so, before she goes too far with things, she decides to get a second opinion because she knows a doctor in Red Deer. She goes to him, tells him what happened, and he says, "Is this guy nuts? Like, how would he even know that from what he did?" The guy said, "Go home, you don't have breast cancer." Now, breast cancer is something that I personally am totally at war against. Anything that destroys women's breasts is the eternal enemy of Mike Phillip. Let's just put that down right now. We've got studies up here in Canada, okay? And this is coming at you from Global News Edmonton. Study disputes the value of routine mammograms. Now, I was listening to Dr. Wallach talking about mammograms, and he said next time your doctor tells you to get a mammogram, you tell him to put your testicle in that machine while the guy behind the 7-foot lead wall is running radiation through it. So you do that first, and then I'll put my breast on there. That's what you tell him. I thought that was pretty funny. Dr. Wallach's a pretty direct guy. So is Dr. Glidden, and a lot of people think that they're too hard on the MDs, but man, they have seen some things. They've seen their share of needless deaths and miraculous recoveries from health issues that were completely unavoidable in the first place. Canadian study that many experts say has major flaws has revived a debate about the value of mammograms. Studies suggest that these screening x-rays do not lower the risk of dying of breast cancer while finding many tumors that do not need treatment. Now, I've seen this locally. I know of a woman that got a false breast cancer diagnosis, and the treatment from there on in actually ended up killing her. She's dead. She's gone. And if she had never gotten that mammogram in the first place, she would probably still be here. Okay? She wasn't that old. This is serious business we're talking about. The study gives longer follow-up, nearly 90,000 women who were given either a breast exam by a nurse to check for lumps, plus a mammogram or the breast exam alone. After more than 2 decades of follow-up, death rates were similar in the two groups, suggesting little impact from mammograms. So, they tell you to dutifully go and get your mammogram almost all the time. And why wouldn't you believe them? They got a white coat and a clipboard, probably a stethoscope hanging out on their neck, bunch of papers on the wall behind them. Well, I don't put stock in any of that, okay? And if you look at the numbers, they're awful. They are just awful. We're going to go over to Fox News. Breast cancer screening. Can you put a price tag on saving a life? Well, apparently your MD can. What are they getting? What are they getting paid to come up with a false diagnosis? I tell you, if I was bad at my job as they are at theirs, well, nobody would call me, let's put it that way. Yearly mammograms in middle-aged women do not reduce breast cancer deaths. That's a story from Fox News, and I just read you one from Global Edmonton in my local area here. Can anybody say talking point? Yeah. According to a new study published in the British Medical Journal, that questions the need for actual screening. Don't bother. Tell your MD I got a vision problem. I can't see you anymore. Mike Phillip, filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. More after this. Welcome back, everybody. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden on a beautiful afternoon in Alberta. Now, before the break, I was talking a bit about breast cancer. But I also said this show is about you, and I've got a fellow Albertan on the line. Joyce in Alberta, can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
How are you today, Joyce?
I'm doing good.
Are you experiencing the same unseasonably warm weather where you're at in Alberta?
It's not too bad today. Sunny, partly sunny. It's actually quite nice looking out there. Yeah.
We're at about 2 degrees here, and we're getting melted here big time. So what would you like to talk about today, Joyce?
Well, my husband, the doctors feel that he has Parkinson's, and we've been following the longevity products and Dr. Wallach's regime here for about 3 months. You
called in before, didn't you, Joyce?
I did. Yes.
Yeah, I talked to you before, and you had your husband taking lots of eggs, and you were blending it up with. You had made some sort of a concoction with your longevity products. Am I correct?
That's right. We're making an eggnog every morning for him.
Yeah, how's he doing, Joyce?
Well, I'm a little concerned because it does seem like his tremors are increasing. But then I thought, well, I wonder if this is a detoxifying response. I'm not sure. And what I thought I'd do is just kind of go over some of the things that was recommended. One of the things that they were saying is to have it 80% fat, and which I was really, I just, actually when I was looking over it, I was thinking I don't think we've been doing that, and I'm not even sure if I've actually heard that right, because I know the eggs would be a fat product, and of course the EFA, and but how would you get 80% fat, or did I mishear that?
Well, what we do, let me tell you this, what we do for extra fat and whatnot is butter, and we cook everything in the fat coming off of meat as well. And I've got a really good suggestion here for you, Joyce.
Okay.
Am I remembering correctly? You're in southern Alberta?
That's right.
Okay. Dr. Wallach is going to be in Calgary on the 30th and 31st.
Okay.
Okay, and the absolute best thing that you could do is be there for that. And the reason I say that is because he's got tons of experience with it, and he could probably go into more suggestions and ways of trying to accelerate the process. It sounds to me like you're doing good. And if I remember correctly, the last time I talked to you, it had been about 2 months. Am I correct?
That's right.
Right. Okay, old Mike Phillips' memory is working. All 15 EF8s a day are working.
Yes.
So,
so he's
yeah,
going to be in
best thing you
Calgary
can do.
in February? Oh, no, that would be March 30th.
March 30th and 31st. And what I'm going to do, Joyce, do you got a pen handy?
Yes, I do.
Okay, write this number down. 1-800 705
705
6892.
6892.
Yeah, that number is going to get you a member of Team Glidden, Alberta.
Okay.
And we don't have the information on the location or times. We just have the dates, 30th and 31st.
Okay.
We're just waiting to hear from Vice Presidential Marketing Director Corey Propp in Calgary. And, once we do, you'll be able to get them from the operator on the end of that line.
Okay. And I know he's going to be in Edmonton area the 27th to the 29th of March.
Yeah, are you? What area are you in?
I'm east of Calgary. Actually, Calgary would be the closest. We didn't know he was coming to Calgary, but we were kind of thinking of getting up there to Edmonton.
Oh, we would love to have you up here. You know what? I would like nothing better than to actually meet some of the people that I talk to when I'm doing this radio show. I really like meeting people in my longevity family, and you will get along just super with my mom, and Ash, James, and Duffy are going to be here, and so March 27th. 7 o'clock, West Edmonton Mall, Gold Room. I hear the music, and that means this segment's just about over. I'm going to hold you over, Joyce. Let's talk to you on the other side. Mike Phillips filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. Back after this. Welcome back. We're live. Mike Phillips filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. Let's get fight music. Who am I? I'm David, and I got a stone called longevity, and I'm going to fire it into the forehead of Big Pharma Goliath and get his neck off of my family or his foot off the neck of my family and my countrymen. And speaking of my countrymen, or woman in this case, Joyce in Alberta's on the line. Are you still there, Joyce?
Yes, I am.
Really good to talk to you, Joyce. So now we've established that you got to keep going. And I can't wait to meet you in Edmonton on March 27th in West Edmonton Mall. Have you been to West Edmonton Mall, Joyce?
Yes, I have.
Isn't that place great?
It is.
It's something else. I tell you, everybody out there listening, right here in central Alberta, we have the largest mall in the world. I think it still is. There's an indoor skating rink, an indoor water slide and wave park. There's a full replica of a Spanish galleon in a waterway going through it. Sorry, Minnesota, Mall of America does not come close. As far as I understand, it could be different now. That was a long time ago that I even heard any kind of record on it. So, Joyce, what is longevity doing for you?
Well, I'm trying so hard to get on it, but I keep running short of products. So because I tell other people about it and they want to try it, and so it kind of runs short all the time. So I'm going to have to put a big order in to cover all that. Anyway,
you could do that.
They don't want to order it individually. So I get myself in a little bit of a muddle with that, but if I can just get enough of an order put in, I'm okay. So I'm still struggling to get on it fully, but I'm taking as much as I can. I was just wondering with the green tea, there's a Reboss green tea, and they say that they have over 1 million ORAC points with 1 cup of green tea. And I'm thinking, is that sufficient then? Like they want you to be over 100,000 ORAC points with the Parkinson's?
Well, if you've got a green tea with 1 million ORAC points, I would go for it. Why not?
Okay, I just wanted to see, like they don't say it on the package, it's just on the internet that they say that. Yeah,
I've heard a lot of good things about green tea. You know what? When you call, remember that 800 number I gave you?
Yes.
The guy that answers the phone on that line is actually my brother. Okay?
Oh.
Yeah, and he sounds a lot like me, except he's a lot more active than I am. He teaches Kung Fu, and he's just a super guy. And he'll sound like me, a lot like me, I've been told. But talk to him about tea and ORAC value because he's a big tea guy, and he has been for a long time. So, you know, if you want to call that number for information on the Wallach visit, or just tell my brother that you, excuse me, I'm fighting a cold. Tell him that you're interested in different types of tea and ORAC value for your husband. Chances are he's listening right now, so he might even be expecting your call after this conversation. Okay. All right?
I'll do that. And also, it was recommended that he takes 4 bottles of selenium a month. So there's 90 capsules in a bottle, and I figured it would be 12 capsules a day. It seems like an awful lot, but am I figuring that out right?
You know what? Dr. Glidden has recently changed his position somewhat on ultimate selenium consumption. It used to be 1 bottle per 50 pounds, and now he's saying just because there were some people showing signs of too much selenium, and so he cut it back to 1 per 100 pounds from what I've been hearing lately. But you know what? I get a massive amount of selenium. Like there's times when I'll take 12 a day. And it doesn't have any effect on me, and I've heard Ask James say the same thing. So it's kind of something that you have to figure out for yourself.
Okay.
And I'm going to leave it at that. So, you know, your husband is obviously, he's got a battle ahead of him.
Yeah.
So, you know, see what he responds to and how he feels. There's some obvious signs of a little bit too much selenium. And, you know, you'll get fish breath and soft nails, stuff like that. So just check them out for that.
Okay.
And, yeah, and I would adjust accordingly. But, yeah, and that's the thing. We're constantly evolving, right? That's why we tell people, you know, I tell them right off the bat, I'm not a doctor, but I have gotten huge results in myself and people around me. So, you know, you might have to do a little bit of tweaking with your diet and how you take the products. And, you know, I would say that to anybody, but expect results, you know. So I'm really glad you called in, Joyce. It's good to hear you again. I remember our last conversation like it was yesterday. And I'd love to hear from you again. Don't be afraid to call Wallach on his show either. Dr. Wallach has his radio show. And but you know what? Ultimately, it would be just super awesome, very best thing if you could come on up to West Edmonton Mall and meet me and my family. And Dr. Wallach, I guarantee you, will sit and talk to you one-on-one specifically about this issue. Sound good?
Oh, it sounds wonderful.
Yeah, can't wait to see you there, Joyce.
Okay, thank you so much.
You bet. Have a great family day. We're going to let Joyce go now. And I compiled a few different sound clips from different places around the world. And because, you know, you might think to yourself, maybe it's just here. Maybe it's just here that people are being killed by doctors all the time, whether unintentionally or not. I can't decipher intention, but I've seen people die from false diagnosis. Now, we got a sound clip out of Tonight, Australia. And if you think medical mistakes are bad here, just give this a listen. Let's roll the clip.
The doctors you're about to meet won't be treating patients ever again.
All right,
for their
we got
victims,
no clip.
Even that
That's
will
fine.
be too soon. His
there
name
we
is
go.
James Latham Peters. He is a drug-addicted former anaesthetist. He's also a disgrace. He infected 55 patients with hepatitis C at an abortion clinic in Croydon, a Melbourne eastern suburb, condemning his patients to a life of misery. In a story sounding very familiar, the Medical Practitioners Board knew of his addiction to the synthetic narcotic fentanyl, but did next to nothing. They failed to supervise him, nor warn his patients.
If somebody's up there listening to me, I just would like my wife to be able to walk again.
His name is Dr. Suresh Nair. He was a brilliant neurosurgeon with a shocking secret, an addiction to cocaine, the sex and drug lifestyle that led to 2 young women dying. Him being jailed for 5 years for manslaughter and supplying drugs, and a string of botched operations that ruined bodies and lives. If that wasn't bad enough, health authorities knew of his addiction and remained mute.
There are a lot of drug or even impaired doctors allowed to operate and practice medicine all around the country.
Lorraine Long from the Medical Error Action Group believes documents were changed in the Dr. Nair case.
Anything they can cover up, they will. They're in denial. Documents hold that medical records tampered with.
In the case of Dr. Nair, patient after patient required the skilled hands of a surgeon. Instead, they got the unsafe hands and muddled thinking of a drug-addicted surgeon. We have uncovered a report that indicates there are a lot more potentially dangerous doctors treating patients. But first, a reminder of our report with David Richardson last year of the misery meted out at the hands of Dr. Nair.
Judith McIntosh wasn't always in a wheelchair. A routine injury to her neck and a blood infection led her to Dr. Suresh Nair, the star neurosurgeon at the Nepean Hospital in Sydney's Outer West, who recommended immediate surgery. Judith did recover from the surgery, but she's never walked again, from a sore shoulder to becoming a quadriplegic.
When I found out that I'd never walk again, I was mortified.
But they were never told Dr. Nair had a problem.
That it was just very wrong and they should have done something about it long before Mum's case. And they've wrecked this family. Absolutely wrecked.
Dr. Nair's secret double life would have remained hidden but for 2 tragic deaths. 2 high-class call girls, Brazilian student Svelan Dominguez Zorpa and Victoria McIntyre, died from toxic cocaine overdoses in Nair's multi-million-dollar apartment. It blew the lid on his drug and sex addict lifestyle and on the secret medical authorities had known since 2004, but no one had revealed to his patients.
Oh, outrageous. And that it could go on for so long and was allowed to go on for so long.
According to this Australian Medical Journal paper, aptly titled Complaint-Prone Doctors, 1% of doctors in private practice are responsible for close to 20% of all complaints. In other words, the same doctors' names keep reappearing time and time and time again. The study looked at complaints against Victorian doctors going back a decade. They identified 100 accident-prone doctors in the report. The study recommended that medical authorities intervene and do whatever it takes to return these doctors to, and I quote, safe medicine, unquote. It added this was necessary to improve patient satisfaction and public confidence in health services. The Medical Journal paper even profiled a typical complaint-prone doctor. Male, a surgeon or psychiatrist, trained in Australia and having been in Australia for at least 30 years. Both Dr. Peters and Dr. Nair ticked most of the boxes.
Medical negligence was the leading cause of death in Australia. You're looking at a jumbo jet of people a week. True. You are looking at those numbers.
James Peters will be sentenced later this month. He will remain behind bars until then.
A jumbo jet of people a week. Sore shoulder to quadriplegic. High-priced call girls and cocaine. That's your doctor. Like that? Would you leave somebody like that in the care of your wife or daughter? I don't think so. But they get a pass, right? You know, it wasn't until that guy partied two call girls to death that anything was even done. But the people had known about this. Okay? I think we need to hold them to a higher standard. People are dying. And if you let somebody do that to your wife or daughter, I don't know what kind of man you are. Put simply, I would be, well, yeah, I wouldn't let it go. Let's put it that way. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden, Serious Business. Stick around. We'll be back after this. Welcome back. Mike Phillip filling in for Dr. Peter Glidden. Get your money for nothing and your vitamins for free. We're going to open up the lines here and go to Dave in Michigan. Dave, are you there, my friend?
Mike Phillips, it's a pleasure to talk to you, my friend. This is Dave from the Thumb.
Nice.
You know, I feel like we're kind of kindred spirits, Mike. My folks were both from Windsor, Ontario, and my dad, at 15, ran away from home with his older brother, and they got some fake IDs and joined the American Army, and my dad got caught over there in Germany with a German Luger in his footlocker, and he got scared and he spilled his guts, and they made him an American citizen.
You know what? My dad is from Chicago, and my mother is from a little town called Farintosh in Alberta here, and so I'm a dual citizen myself, and it's funny because I'm a Canadian pretty much through and through, but I'm fiercely proud of my American heritage. And it's funny because my dad had a real Indiana accent, and if I talked Canadian sometimes when I was a kid, he would get mad at me. He'd say, "You don't say a boot. It's about. You pronounce your O."
Where did you grow up, Mike? In Alberta or in America?
I grew up in Alberta, right? I lived in, we moved a lot, okay? I lived in Alberta, Saskatchewan, and Manitoba, and the lion's share of my life was spent in Canada. So now you know my deal.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, I like your style. I've been wanting to call in since I first heard you on, sitting in for the doc, and, I just wanted to meet you, and when I heard you say you were nursing a cold, I had to call in.
You know what? Hey, can I get you to back off your mic just a little bit there, my friend?
Sorry about that.
Yeah, you're so awesome that you're overloading the system.
I'm sorry. I'm recovering. About a year ago, I fell down my basement stairs and shattered my talus bone, and they said I had an 80% chance they were going to have to amputate my foot.
Wow.
And my wife loaded me up on the longevity, and here I am a year later. I'm on the treadmill, 2 miles an hour. I just walked a mile here, a leisurely walk, and I barely broke a sweat, and I've lost over 100 pounds in a year, and the longevity is it's magic.
Fantastic, man. Like, while you were talking there, I'm thinking to myself, holy guacamole. Like, I tell people this stuff, But until they hear it from a guy like you or somebody that's actually been through it, this stuff speeds up your healing exponentially. Like, the doctors will tell you, you break your arm, it's going to be 6 to 8 months or whatever before you have full use. You're probably looking at 3 to 4 if you're properly nutritionalizing your body. If it even broke in the first place because your bones are so strong. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Yeah, so what do you got to say about colloidal silver, buddy?
Well, you say you're nursing a cold. Do you take colloidal silver at all?
Okay, let me give you a little bit of backstory on this cold. People around here have gotten it, and it has completely wiped them out. Like, I know people that have been off their feet for 7 days, and I've had it for about 2 days, and it never got past a tickle in my chest and a sniffle because, and I'm glad you brought this up, I get colloidal silver, I put it in a spray bottle, and I breathe it directly into my lungs and into my nose. And I very, very rarely get sick. And I stepped up my Tangy Tangerine and my EFAs for my lung function. And I tell you what, this is the most pansy cold I've ever had.
Well, I'll tell you, I gotta share this. We've been making our own...
Hang on a second, Dave. Dave, I hear the music. That means we got a commercial break coming up here. But I want to talk to you on the other side. We got a long break and a long segment on the other side. Stick around, Dave, and we will be back after this.